You want to get into this thing?
For sure, man. Let's do it.
Cool. So let's start off right off the bat, man. Tell me who you are. Tell everybody who doesn't know you what's up.
Cool. What's up, guys? First of all, thanks for having me. I think what you're doing is super awesome. I've watched a lot of your stuff. I have a whole Aaron face folder in my Instagram saved, I guess,
Sorry
reels
for
or
that.
I think the information you're giving is awesome, and I'm really stoked to be here. Who I am, I'm Sean Kirk. If you haven't met me, mostly a tunnel instructor. I started jumping when I turned 18 at Skydive, Georgia. Wound up in the tunnel right after COVID. Been there for a while. Started in Atlanta, El Paso, and then I've been moonlighting in Atlanta on the weekends for about the past year or so. Started jumping in, like I said, at Georgia, and then got jumps here or there. I was probably a 200 jump wonder before COVID, and then picked up jumps here and there along the way. And then the most recent thing that I was a part of is the whole big wave circuit starting January last year. Florida, I think, was my first one, and then rolling through all the way to the VWR in Chicago, all that last year. And then this year I've kind of dedicated, I think it's going to be my year of angles. So that's kind of the way I've been rolling with it. Yeah.
For those of you guys who don't know Sean, he is infamously or famously known as probably the person with the lowest jump number on the world record. I'm pretty sure your 500th jump was the record jump, is what you like to say. Like, that's
Yeah,
pretty
I
nuts.
think, I think it was. Oh, technical difficulties right off the rip. My bad, guys. Um, I like saying that. I'm definitely not the best jump logger in the world, and I will never claim to be. Rough estimates somewhere between 480 and 550, we'll say. And there's definitely a group chat log of me getting called out for having a much lower number than I may have told Vertical Elite during my registration phase way back in January when I didn't think there was a chance, but I just really didn't want to get kicked out of a phase two because I really just wanted to be part of Tennessee record. Dana, Bjorn, and Palmer Collette were organizing that. Shout out to them. I ran into them at the Huntsville airport really early in January. They invited me out to that. And they're like, you should probably hit a phase one first. And I said, that's a really good idea. And then in doing so, I really had a lot more fun and enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, and performed a lot better than I really thought I was going to as well, and realized I had a chance. So I hit a really heavy push through. I think I wound up going to 7 events between January and July to get one of the last slots on the record, and it was a really cool experience. So I'm really glad I got to do that. Yeah.
Man, so you've spent like 6-ish years now in the tunnel, but having
Yeah,
that low of
5. Yeah,
jump
5 probably.
numbers and like transferring to the sky, I think is like a pretty unique experience. Like, I know some amazing tunnel flyers who do struggle getting it to the sky. Like, what do you think allowed you to be able to do that?
Um, that's a great question. Not really. Not that I don't know. I think seeing where I started, at least I started in the sky, but I went to a very heavily tunnel oriented background throughout most of my skill progression. I would say I got very few jumps and it was very heavily tunnel. So like the transition to me was kind of night and day, and I was sort of out of the tunnel at the time that I was getting into all of this. Uh, Difficulties being obviously, what everyone jokes about is tunnel instructors have trouble in exits, openings, and flying canopies. I don't think I have too much trouble with that being a pilot as well, at least flying the big patterns in the big ways. Uh, a lot of successes, I think, was just like in terms of mentally slowing everything down. I think instructors, especially, but anyone in a tunnel environment, especially when the walls get close, I think you feel the speed a lot more in the tunnel because things are flashing by you and the references are so close. When the sky is and the people are very big and far apart, that you really can take that second to just breathe in, breathe out, and kind of anticipate where things are going to go and kind of cut the corner per se, not necessarily cut across anything, but being where the ball is going to go. Yeah, not cutting
Don't
across,
cut
but being
across
where the ball
things.
is going to go before it's going to be there. And I think that's a little bit easier to do in the sky because you can see the flow of it. Where in the tunnel, things are a lot more agitated and things switch a lot faster. So I think that was probably one of the bigger transitions for me. Yeah.
I mean, even from like a flight skills standpoint, though, it's at least when I learned. So I learned head down in the tunnel, started transferring it to the sky, and the references are just way different.
Sure.
So, what
Absolutely.
kind of, I guess, what kind of type of flying did you do? Low speed, high speed? Like, what was it you think that really helped, or what did you just do that ended up working?
Um, Definitely, I'm a low speed bandit. I love the Euro flyers. I think that was one of my best like favorite influences. I think the El Paso tunnel had a lot of European influence in it, and that low speed was something we talked about, something we definitely encouraged. But it was mostly dynamic flying, which like I wouldn't put myself on a VFS team, especially not a high level one, without a certain amount of training and dedication to that style of flying. Where I think I could get away with it in a 1 point skydive a little bit more with especially being one of the newer people and the lesser known names and the lesser jump numbers in the sport. They stuck me on the outside. Happy to be there. Like no complaints whatsoever. I'll be happy to be out there next time around and every time after that. Because I think it plays to my advantages. Moving big, that's your carving. Those those big dynamic horizontal movements. You're just going in a straight line at that point. The scary things and the big changes in that is a lot of the tunnel stuff. We get those stalls and we want those stalls, where we're moving back and changing directions. Where here we do have someone behind us. We can't be stalling to the point where we're fully changing direction. So it's more of a slow and gradual deceleration towards the group. I think that's where I was most nervous about. That was where my discomfort lies in, I think. And as soon as people got into within my 14 feet, like that's my safe space, that's the tunnel. I know those spaces that like I could follow someone else in, per se. Like once I was in my slot, I knew exactly where I needed to be, and I could just kind of pace out with somebody else, and I knew I could stop within that range of that person. So I knew if they were going in the right spot, I'd be going in the right spot as well, and kind of the right speed. And I had a lot of awesome flyers around me. I think my plane captain was right next to me, Omar, as well. So like I had a lot of experience and a lot of really calm heads around me. So that was very, very helpful for me as well.
Sick, man. Yeah, let's work through the process. You
Sure.
show up like camp one, you run
Yeah.
into Dana and Palmer, and they're like, "Hey, go to a phase one. Come join this record.
Yeah.
Come join
Uh,
this record after phase one camp, right?"
yeah. So yeah, they were putting together Tennessee. I was actually a part of moved back to Birmingham, Alabama. That's where I am right now. 24. Yeah. Anyway, and got put on the Alabama Head Up record out in Coleman, which was super awesome. That was kind of my intro to big ways. I'm very grateful that I got to be a part of that.
Any training for that? Like, how was that process getting on there?
That was invite Martin Aviation, my awesome sponsors as well. They gave me space for this call as well. Super cool. Shout out to them. They opened up a new hangar in Coleman right now, and they said I could do this here. So
Sweet.
shout out to them. Chris and Sheris, awesome people in the sport. They've been super great. They actually like in terms of training and just introduction to the skydiving side of it. Sat us down, gave us a really nice briefing, hour-long PowerPoint of just how the radials work, what your stadiums look like, site picture, exit frames, all of that stuff. Just a really nice introduction that without that, walking into Florida, January, whatever of last year would have been. I was already lost in the sauce in terms of who was there and just the level, the expectation of knowledge was. I thought I knew some stuff, and I definitely did. And I was scraping the bottom of the barrel of, I would say, an acceptable level of knowledge and coming in. And like Dan and Leslie put on an awesome camp right off the rip to set a really high standard for myself for the rest of the camps. But like getting after that in terms of just the pace of how quickly the camp itself worked, getting up, getting down, getting briefed and debriefed for every single one, and then working on your specific things as well as just kind of taking in a whole new style of flying as well as just a whole new environment of not competition, but like it is a competitive, with each other, we're all competing towards a goal, which is a really cool thing. I think that's the best part of big ways and stuff, which again, I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did. And I really did fall in love with it, which is cool.
So that was your first phase one camp, right? With Dan and Leslie. Then where do you go from here?
Yeah, absolutely. So
How'd
from
you do
there,
first off?
what was that?
How'd
How
you
did I
do?
do? Horrible. My report card was tough. I think I got like a good score on team attitude, and that was like the only one.
Explain the report card. Like I'm not a big
So
wave flyer. A lot of people that listen aren't.
yeah,
So
for sure.
tell us how it works.
Yeah, all of this was super new to me as well. It's exactly what it sounds like. You go to grade school and you get your little report card, and like, um, every camp had one. You could opt into one. I think if you had opted into potentially getting a record invite, you opted into getting scorecards because they were going to judge you. You were going to hear about it and see what you could improve on, which is awesome. And I think that's if you're going to a camp to improve, especially if you are working towards a big goal like that, that's absolutely the goal we should be having and what we should be moving towards. Um, Exit skills, your floating exit, diving exits, coming out with the base as well. So if you were before the base, after the base, what suited you best. Your proximity flight skills, break off, canopy awareness, canopy safety, and just overall attitude, coachability, attitude getting coaching, which are those three things are all very different, even though they sound very similar, and just overall energy and stuff like that. So like, I think I scored decently on the last category, the human category, but like in terms of flying, there were definitely a whole bunch of things to work on. My breakoffs weren't like up to snuff. I was kind of like sinking out a little bit too much. So a whole bunch of things to work on and see. So that was super cool. And it really helped me out through the next one, which was, it was out in Paris. That's what it was. It was late February, about a month later, was out in Paris. We had great weather, which I'm guessing happens all the time in Southern California, which we just don't get to experience that often in the Southeast of it just always being sunny. It's really cool. That camp was super awesome. Wade Baird was supposed to put it on. He got sick or something. I think it was Chris Gunter. I'm blanking so hard on who put that on. My apologies to whoever did. I think it's Chris.
It's okay. They probably don't listen anyway. Like this is super small.
I've seen some of the people we've had on, so if it is, it's getting bigger. So
We're trying.
So
go to phase two, or phase one camp. You start next one, getting better.
Yeah, getting better. Paris brings its own challenge with being at 12.5 from getting 14. So when you're on a dive, you really got to be Johnny on the spot because that altimeter is going to hit you quickly, and you're going to have to leave, and you feel really bummed. My floats had started feeling really, really good, though. Just a lot of low speed in the tunnel. I think just being able to hang out in this angle, and then just if I needed to speed up and tip it down further steep to make sure I didn't float up to the base too much. That seemed pretty easy to me versus coming down and hitting the brakes and just kind of judging that definitely took a little bit more time. After that was Arizona, which was my first phase two. We went from 20 ways to 40 ways. My first two plane shots, my first tailgate exit. So like this whole year was all a bunch of firsts for me, and it was a whole bunch of bucket list things, a bunch of things I never thought I'd get to do, like just being a person who just grew up in the age of YouTube and watching them huck the car out of the Arizona Skyvan, like just getting to jump out one of those was like just a cool thing that I really just, that words can't describe when you are 12 years old and you're like, oh, no way. And, your 12-year-old self would be
Yeah, it's
happy
like
about
people do this. This is crazy. And then you're
It's
the one doing it.
And now I'm doing it with some of those people that were a part of that or are part of the next one, the Guardians. Like now I know some of those people, and that's also crazy, which I met through these events, which just another great part of it is the community of this. That camp went super awesome. Arizona Anthem put that on. Chazzy, Josh, Yanni, Irish, fantastic. Their information, awesome. Their energy was awesome. The pilots crushed it. We did see a cloud in Arizona that day, which was awesome too. No, the whole crew really brought it. Like that was a really like fun camp where everyone I think was getting after it, which I was super stoked on, and that just kept pushing me through. I think around then was when I started thinking that things were getting a little bit better in terms of my performance, and where like I was getting more consistent and whatnot, and things were starting to flow my way, and I was starting to feel a little more confident as well. I think after that was Tennessee, which that was really that, and then I wound up going to Orange, Virginia towards the end. That was those were the only two that got really crushed by weather, but that was a great time. As well, Core came out as well as Anthony. Um, Blanking on a last name there as well. I'm the worst. He played his guitar Saturday night. We all hung out. It was a good time. We did break the sequential record from like 9-5. I think it's a 9 or 10 way sequential head down record in Tennessee. So we fought off the weather a little bit, but that was a good time. After that, I know I hit Capalson. I know I hit Orange. And I know I'm blanking on one more.
And
Orange was
when's the
run
invite
by,
come? So when's the invite come?
the invite came literally as late as possible, not complaining at all. They sent out what they said was the last set of invites, and my name was not on it, which was a bit of a bummer. Huge bummer. I was not stoked on that, to be 1,000,000% honest. Sent out the text that you're probably not supposed to the organizer. I hit Rook up on Facebook. Don't know him very well. Don't know him at all. Still don't know him super well. Thank you, Rook. Glad I could be a part of it. And I was just like, hey man, totally understand. Like, can't tell you how thankful I am to put these events. I've grown so much as a flyer. Like, this is super cool. If anyone drops out or if anything happens in one of these last 5 or whatever they said, their handful of invites come out, you need someone, let me know. I'll be there with bells on. Just say the word. Like, all good. And then I saw on Vertical Elite's page they had one more event. It was the 10 spot in Chicago with Rook. And out of all these events I'd flown with, none of them had been with Rook or Matt. So like I really just maybe a little bit of sense of pride, a little bit of sense of just wanting them to see, just in case someone did drop out and I wanted to be that first alternate, wanted them to see me fly. I hit him up. I was like, hey man, would this help me at all? And he's like, if you think it'd be beneficial, they're 10-way sequential jumps. They're a good time. Like, come on out. And then I hit him up like 3 days beforehand. I was like, hey, if you'll still have me, I'll still be there. So I ripped up Friday afternoon, I think, out from Birmingham up to Chicago. Had a really awesome weekend. Rook puts on a great event in terms of just what you can do in a quarter, and he does that every quarter. And what you can do in a weekend in terms of improvement and just bringing people along. It was a great weekend. And on the last jump, he's like, "Hey man, like, do you think you could be perfect on this jump if it meant you get an invite to the record?" And I was just like, sure, yeah. And I look away really quick. I hop on that camera step and we go rock out. Everyone, that jump went super awesome for everyone. So luckily, I had a bunch of people making me look good. I get a big high five with him on the way out on break off, and like didn't hear anything about it. We didn't talk about it on the ground or anything. But like 3 days later, I'm back in Birmingham and I got an email with my name on it that says golden ticket, and boom, like it's there, and I'm just jumping up and down. And that was about a month, I think, before the actual event. So I had a month to freak out about it, calm down about it, figure out Airbnbs and whatnot. So yeah, it
Any
was good.
flying prep you did for it?
I was back in the tunnel part time, so like in terms of that, a little bit of like adversity flying, I would say, just having some people,
Bouncing
be a
you
little bit
around,
on purpose, or
verbal
like
you.
have people carving through you or whatnot while you were just kind of standing there. A lot of like just hanging on the net, just super steep, super like closed down everything, just trying to drive through the net just to feel that speed for dives and stuff. Other than that, it was mostly just mental stuff. Like in terms of flight training, like everything had been done at that point to where it's just like you just need to be where you need to be at that time, and just everyone there is more than capable of doing it. It's just a matter of everyone flying to their potential at the same time, which is a lot of people. Like I think we talked about it at Flamingo Fest. It's like I don't think anyone has to fly the best they've ever flown to get a head down dock, a 1 point head down dock. But even to your 65th, 75th percentile, you got to get everyone operating at a B average, at a C plus average on the same thing. And does that mean some people can be A's and some people can be D's? Not really. You still need everyone to a B at least, and that should be higher to raise that whole bar. But that's the cool thing about it, I think. And what was super cool is when we did kind of all connect is you really do feel that. And that's just a feeling that I won't forget anytime soon. And I'm very appreciative to have been a part of. Yeah.
So this year you're about angles, right?
Think so. Yeah. I've been trying to get into angles for like 3 years now and been happily distracted with life, as life usually does kind of take you its own way. Again, no complaints with how that's shaken out in terms of where I've ended up between tunnels and jumping and whatnot. It's all been good. But yeah, I think this year is the year of the angle for
Hit
sure.
me with comparisons, likes, dislikes. I mean, you said you first did your first angle camp. Friend of both of ours, Jake Carlton's XP Ascend, put it
Absolutely.
on. I know it's a good time. So tell me about it. Tell me like what your thought is you having getting your first taste.
Yeah. Man, I can't wait for more. I was already checking the event calendar for the summer event. It's in July and registrations I think on the 22nd, so that's probably when I'll be registering. Ascend puts on an awesome event. Like I wish, especially as a dynamic flyer in the tunnel, I wish I had the an angle camp before big ways or like one or two just for exit sake and stuff like my back exits which would have been my float like I would have been so much more powerful and like not so far behind playing catch up to where like you do have to make either bigger moves or rush or just like guess speeds a little bit more because you aren't so close to that person where you do have a good idea of what that distance and what you need to close that distance is. But in terms of the event they put on and what how I'm feeling about it, first of all, just every single person I could have ever want to have flown with was there. The Horizon guys, Tex and Alethea, Pedro. I know Pedro's a Horizon guy now. A bunch of the European tunnel guys, Kev, Julian, like everyone. So like weather wasn't great, so we only got to fly with like one coach. I was lucky enough to get two because Julian had to leave for some flight stuff. But amazing stuff. I learned a whole bunch just seeing and again, it's honestly keeping the closer you stay to that person, the more it's like the tunnel for me. And if I can keep the range, it makes a lot of sense. But if I lose the range and I get a little far, that's when things start to get a little confusing and a little like less comfortable for me. So definitely something I want to work with, as well as just horizontal movement in general and not turning. Like I feel more comfortable in like a belly carving turn than I do just holding it straight because I'm just so used to just a little something here. So I think that's just things I have kind of drawn my attention to, but it was such a new thing that I just wanted to have as much fun as possible, take it all in. I really don't have anything to compare it to. But in terms of the difference between that, the angles and the big ways, obviously much more dynamic flying, but it's still like a team thing. Like between the 20 ways, 40 ways, whatever the camps were, everyone was there for themselves for sure, for their personal like growth, flying, invite, whatever it be. But also like I think there was true enjoyment in seeing either the group get together and like it being more cohesive throughout the day, or like, in the big way setting, like us getting building more and just seeing your friends and other people who weren't your friends 2 days ago getting better and seeing them get some personal achievement. So like the similarities are super cool. Like I've seen not as many people as I really thought I was going to from the big way circuit as that between there and Flamingo Fest and whatnot, which isn't a problem because now I'm just making more friends. But I thought there'd be just a little more crossover, so I'm hoping there will be.
So, I mean, this is something I've noticed a lot. Like, I'm big in the angle world, so it's what I see. Like, you see a lot of people who fly head down out facing the tunnel, and the correlation to belly flying and angle is just so different. So, like, there's the radial movement versus a linear movement that causes people to kind of take a while to adjust, honestly. Any feelings there? Like, you did say you feel like more comfortable turning versus going straight. I'm like, how's that feel for you?
Yeah, especially like on the belly side is the one I feel less comfortable on, which I think is interesting, especially with the way the rig is on your back. I would think that would affect you more in the back angle, like in for me at least as a mostly tunnel person, most of my flying time has been without a rig on. But in terms of like especially getting steeper and like that initial pitching in of the belly side, I think that really is where I start to struggle. You'll see me where the legs start to just, the little twitchy legs and the kicky legs just to kind of save it. Um, I think we're looking for something to hold on to when it should be a release. Like, and especially in the tunnel, you can hold on like on the knees, especially, and kind of let that wind pull you around. I think that's something I picked up on, like where you're really diving into it in the sky, that you're flying a little bit higher up the legs and higher up the body in that situation. Visually, it really is. It's tough to start trying to pick out like you want to have a little bit more space than I think more people are okay with being a little closer, at least me personally. I'm used to flying two-way dynamic where you're almost across the tunnel from the other person. So you got 14 feet and they're moving generally in the opposite direction of you versus all of us kind of moving together. And then if you pull up a little bit and I'm right above here, like that's something I'm a little twitchy about still. So like just getting comfortable flying with people again. But as we got throughout the day, like it only got better. So I think that's just something that's going to take a little bit of time to get a little more comfortable with.
Yeah, you have the nice aspect of coming from a big way head down record. So the thing with angles that like I've noticed a lot when I'm coaching beginners is they don't understand it's a head down formation. And so you need a head down sight picture. So like that's the hardest thing to get beginners to understand is you have to get to a place where it's head down. And the only way to do that is to be on a proper level. Because that's the only way that you look back at a formation.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like honestly, if you think about taking, especially from people with the tunnel flying background, which I think a lot of us have at this point, I would say at least anyone skydive, maybe not anyone, most people skydiving starting within the last 5-10 years, if they are at the head down spot, they've spent some time in the tunnel. So where like if you can put the visual sight picture of just rotating the tunnel a little bit, and I know that sounds very like reductive at that point, but especially on exits for me is taking that tunnel and just pointing it as gravity's coming down off the hill. Like I think the more we can visualize things and bring it to something that's a little more familiar, the easier it will get. And the sky's so big, there's so much input hitting you, especially on an exit. Like your brain is overloaded. So the more we can condense that down, I think the better off.
Makes sense. So you're starting to put together camps overseas. Tell me about
Yeah.
your coaching theory. Tell me about like everything and then we'll plug your dates. But tell me what somebody gets when they come to fly with you. Different levels. What are they going to see? What do you like to coach?
For sure, absolutely. General flying philosophy, and it's definitely not mine. I think it's piggybacked off of a lot of better. I think that's what everyone's is. You find what you like, and you're gonna try to emulate that, at least parts of different people as well. My biggest thing is, and I think you would agree as well, is everything's belly or back flying. Like we are on one side or the other. Besides our just directly static neutral head down, maybe kind of sort of not really. I would argue that one probably for a long time too if we wanted to get into that, which I really don't think you do either.
No, man.
But the more we not even hammer down, but we start ourselves with a good foundation, that will only pay dividends further down the line, and it will increase the learning curve exponentially in a good way, tenfold. I can't preach that enough, that like the more we're keeping this in line and we're just moving between this half and this half, everything gets really, really like simple. Not easy, but simple.
Now, what levels do you like to coach? Like, I mean, all levels, but if we are saying somebody comes to you with 2 hours in the wind, what are you going to do with them?
Yeah, I would say that's probably where I have most of my experience as well. I've definitely gotten to work with a bunch of people that rolled through El Paso with a little bit more, and people working on some higher level stuff, head down static, a lot of the skydiver stuff. Me personally, I love working dynamic, but someone with 2 hours per se, I would say that's, belly flying. I'm sure they've been introduced to back transition. That's really kind of my bread and butter. I love my over the feet and I love my layouts. I think that teaches you everything in flying that you will ever need to know. Like if I could do two things, or the old school layout was a full layout head down and a head up. That was considered one rep of a layout. So that would be the one thing I would do would be a front and a back layout for the rest of my life, because between over the feet and layouts, I think that's where you learn your head up and your head down. And then from there, you stop, choose an angle, and that's when we get our carves and whatnot. So obviously, a really strong back flying foundation would be huge for that, getting everything in line, being able to move things freely, so we're not stuck here, anywhere, but being able to be comfortably mobile while still moving different pieces of the body, obviously while keeping the center line intact for the most part. Yeah.
So now 20-hour range, what does it look like? Someone wants to come fly with you, they have 20 hours. They might learn some head down, right? Head down static
Yeah.
is pretty standard at the time to have that. So they come to you, there's say a head down static flyer, done some head up, what are they learning?
Yeah. And I think in this scenario, we're leaning towards someone that's looking to fly maybe more angles more so than VFS and find some dynamic. They were, an older school tunnel flyer, we'll say, something like that. Or just that's where they went for their initial progression, which is totally understandable. I think that's where you're probably going to go have fun and jump with more friends, getting your two ways out the door, and stuff like that. Whereas the dynamic flying really does take a huge, not step back necessary, but it definitely is a grind, and you have to kind of explore some feels for a little bit longer, where it can't just be balance. It has to be balance with control and at certain levels of tension. Whereas I really think you can kind of hold on to the wind in high speed movements. That way, when you start to slow down, you really have to float. That's where things really start to come into play. So if it was from a high speed background type of person, I think that's where we go. It really just depends on their goals. Assuming that's their goals, that's where I want to lean. A lot of like low speed carving, but really, um, just feeling out where they are in terms of picking everything up and just extending everything out, because I think we get really, really stiff, especially a static flying, and that's why we get tired after about 4 minutes of high speed,
That's super fair. So you're
especially in the
headed for
pits.
your Euro camps. Where are you
Yeah,
going? When you
absolutely.
going? What's the situation? Give it all to me.
Yeah, super excited. So this is a new thing for me, opportunity, and really, really excited. I'm headed out to Gothenburg, Body Flight Sweden. Plans are right now getting dialed in, but first week in August, 3rd through 10th, 3rd through 12th. The 3rd through the 7th is like locked in right now, so I'm really excited about that. I'm looking to add a couple extra days at the end. If not in Gothenburg, at maybe a couple of the other tunnels in that area, Stockholm, Fly Tribe, and Malmo. I was just talking to Kevin about that potentially. So potentially doing a second week, but definitely have that first one locked in, which is really, really exciting. Um, but yeah, that is anywhere, people want to go when they want to go is kind of my schedule is super flexible right now. So I'm very excited about that. This is hopefully the first of a few. I got a couple friends and a couple people, from Colorado and whatnot that I'm bringing out. So it's going to be a good time. I'm excited.
Now, how do people find you if they want to go?
Uh, my Instagram is the easiest way to find me. Facebook, flying_Sean is the Instagram. Sean Kirk is the Facebook. I'm sure there's a Twitter somewhere. It can't be, there can't be anything good on it if there is anything on it. So please
So don't
don't
look it up.
find that. Yeah. For yeah, I probably shouldn't have mentioned it. Honestly, that is not going to do anyone any good. But yeah, man. Well, I just want to say thanks so much for having me.
For sure, bro. Thanks everybody for being here. Him and I are gonna chat a little bit.